No matter how carefully you live, someone will misunderstand you. Not because you failed, not because you are evil, but because every person sees the world through their own hunger, their own fear, their own memories, and their own wounds. Here is the strange truth that can break your heart and set it free at the same time. You can be the same person on the same day, and to one mind you will look like a blessing, and to another mind you will look like a threat. You can speak with honesty, and one person will feel healed, while another person will feel exposed. You can set a boundary, and one person will respect you, while another person will call you selfish. You can be quiet, and someone will call you wise, and someone else will call you cold. So what do we do with this? Do we shrink ourselves until we disappear? Do we twist into 100 shapes to match 100 opinions? Do we spend our precious life explaining, defending, and proving again and again until the heart becomes tired? The Buddha looked at this human struggle and offered a calm, powerful way to live, not by controlling other people's minds, but by training our own. Not by chasing universal approval, but by cultivating inner freedom, ethical clarity, and compassion. This is a Dharma talk for anyone who feels misunderstood, judged, labeled, or misread. And it is also a Dharma talk for anyone who has judged others too quickly and wants to soften. Now, dear friends, welcome to Buddha Peaceful Mind. May these words be a quiet refuge for you. May they help you breathe. May they help you walk through this world with a steadier heart. In the time of the Buddha, people also argued, judged, and misunderstood one another. They took sides. They praised and blamed. They built stories and wore them like armor. They wanted to be seen as right, pure, and important. And they feared being seen as wrong, weak, or unworthy. This is not new. Only the costumes have changed. The Buddha did not teach us to win the game of reputation. He taught us to end suffering. And much of our suffering comes from one craving we do not notice, the craving to be understood by everyone, the craving to be liked by everyone, the craving to control the story about who we are. But the Buddha pointed to a simple fact. You cannot control the minds of others. What others think is their mind doing its own work. Their mind is shaped by their past. Their mind is shaped by their pain. Their mind is shaped by their hopes and insecurities. So the Buddha taught something far more practical. If you want peace, train the part of life you can train. Your intention, your speech, your actions, your mind. Then, whatever people project onto you, your heart remains clean. This is where freedom begins. Now, we need to be careful with one idea. Some people say there is no right and wrong, it is all subjective. It is true that many opinions are subjective. It is true that many judgments are personal. But the Buddha did not teach that anything goes. He taught that actions have consequences. He taught that some intentions create suffering and some create peace. He taught skillful and unskillful, harmful and helpful, not as a moral weapon to attack others, but as a clear map to protect the heart. So here is the balance. Do not let the world's opinions define you, and do not use that freedom as an excuse to harm. Inner freedom must walk with ethical clarity. Like a bird needs two wings, wisdom and compassion. Now, let us look at why misunderstanding happens so easily. Imagine 10 people looking at the same mountain. One sees beauty. One sees danger. One sees a business opportunity. One remembers a childhood hike. One remembers a tragedy. The mountain did not change. The minds changed. So when 10 people look at you, they do not see you directly. They see you through their own lens. This is why being misunderstood is not always a sign that you are wrong. Sometimes it is simply a sign that you are human in a world of human minds. Now this can feel lonely, because the heart says, if they do not understand me, I am not safe. But the Buddha taught a deeper safety. Safety is not found in controlling opinions. Safety is found in a mind that does not burn when opinions change. This is the teaching of the 8 worldly winds: gain and loss, praise and blame, fame and disgrace, pleasure and pain. These winds blow through every life. The untrained mind is pushed and pulled. When there is praise, it becomes inflated. When there is blame, it collapses. When there is gain, it clings. When there is loss, it panics. The Buddha trained the mind to stand like a mountain. Winds still blow, but the heart does not fall. How? By seeing clearly. Praise is a sound in the air. Blame is a sound in the air. Fame is a crowd's attention. Disgrace is a crowd's rejection. All of it changes. All of it depends on conditions. So do not hand your peace to the wind. Now, a story is told of a person who came to a wise monk, furious because someone insulted him. He said, "They spoke badly of me. My blood is boiling. What should I do?" The monk asked, "If someone brings you a gift and you do not accept it, who does the gift belong to?" The person answered, "It remains with the one who brought it." The monk said, "In the same way, if someone offers you anger and you do not accept it, it remains with them." This story is not saying you should allow harm. It is saying you do not need to carry another person's poison inside your chest. An insult can land, but you do not have to build a home for it. If you accept it as your identity, you suffer. If you see it as a passing condition, you are freer. Now let us talk about identity, because identity is where misunderstanding hurts most. When someone misunderstands your action, it is uncomfortable. When someone misunderstands who you are, it feels like your existence is being attacked. And the mind reacts. It wants to defend. It wants to prove. It wants to explain. Sometimes explanation is wise, and we will talk about that. But many times, the need to explain comes from a hidden belief. If they misunderstand me, I am in danger. This belief keeps the heart tight. The Buddha offered a different view. Your safety is not guaranteed by their understanding. Your safety is supported by your integrity. If your intention is clean, if your speech is honest, if your actions are skillful, then you can rest, even if others misread you. Because you are not living for their story, you are living for the truth in your own heart. Now this does not mean you become cold. It means you become centered. And from that center, you can choose wisely. When is it helpful to explain? When is it not helpful? A simple guideline is this. If the person is sincere, willing to listen, and important in your life, then gentle explanation can be a form of love. If the person is not sincere, not listening, and only wants to attack, then endless explanation is often wasted breath. The Buddha did not teach us to throw ourselves into fire. he taught wise effort. So you can ask yourself, is my explanation likely to bring understanding, or is it only feeding the drama? This question saves time and saves peace. Now let us look at another danger. When we feel misunderstood, we sometimes become bitter and judge everyone. We say, people are bad, people are fake, everyone is selfish. But the Buddha taught that bitterness is a second wound. The first wound is the misunderstanding. The second wound is the hatred we carry afterward. Hatred does not protect you. It hardens you. So instead of bitterness, the Buddha taught compassion with boundaries. Compassion is not saying yes to harm. Compassion is seeing that many harmful behaviors come from fear and confusion. This does not excuse them, but it keeps your heart from becoming like the behavior you dislike. Now, there is a short teaching that helps here. The Buddha described 2 arrows. The first arrow is the unavoidable pain of life, a harsh comment, a misunderstanding, a rejection. The second arrow is what we add, the replaying, the burning, the stories, the revenge fantasies, the self-hatred. The second arrow is optional. Wisdom removes the second arrow. So when you are misunderstood, the first arrow is the sting. The second arrow is the war you create in your mind afterward. This talk is about removing that war. Now, how do we do it? We begin with mindfulness. Mindfulness is the pause between what happens and what you do with it. Without mindfulness, you are a puppet. With mindfulness, you can choose. So here is a simple practice. When you feel misunderstood, pause for one breath. Feel the body. Where is the tightness? Jaw, throat, chest, belly. Name the emotion. Hurt, anger, fear, shame. Then say inwardly, this is a state. It is not my whole self. That sentence creates space. And in space, you can respond instead of react. Now, the Buddha also emphasized intention. In the Buddhist view, what shapes karma most deeply is intention. So instead of obsessing over how you are perceived, bring attention to your intention. Ask, what is my intention in this moment? Is it to win? Is it to punish? Is it to look good? Is it to be right? Or is it to be truthful? To be kind? To be helpful? To be clear? This is the heart of the practice. You cannot control the misunderstanding, but you can control whether you add harm to it. Now, let us make this concrete with a story. A woman worked hard at her job. She tried to be fair. She tried to be helpful. One day, a coworker accused her of having selfish motives. The accusation was not true. She felt a wave of heat and humiliation. All night, her mind built arguments. Her mind built speeches. Her mind built revenge. In the morning, she remembered a simple question. Is my aim to be understood by everyone, or is my aim to live with integrity? She breathed. She wrote down what was factual. She spoke with her manager calmly. She set a boundary with the coworker, and then she stopped feeding the story in her mind. Not because it was pleasant, but because she saw the cost. The cost of carrying poison. The cost of living in a courtroom inside her head. The lesson is this. We can protect ourselves without hatred. We can correct misinformation without losing our peace. We can speak truth without being consumed by the desire to control every opinion. This is the middle way. Now, your message included something very wise. We should not judge others when we do not know their full story. This is deep, because judgment is often lazy. It takes one moment and makes it a whole identity. It says, he is bad, she is fake, they are evil. But the Buddha taught careful seeing. He taught that people act from conditions, habit, fear, pain, ignorance. This does not excuse harmful actions, but it prevents the mind from becoming a judge with no compassion. And compassion matters because it keeps you human. Now, there is also a danger on the other side. Some people hear, "do not judge," and they think it means do not discern. But discernment is necessary. You must discern what is harmful and what is helpful. You must discern which relationships are safe and which are not. You must discern whether a situation requires silence or requires truth. So we need to hold two things at once. Do not condemn people as fixed villains, and do not ignore harmful behavior. The Buddha called this wise understanding, discernment without hatred. This is powerful. Now, when you feel misunderstood, it is helpful to remember something humble. You have also misunderstood others. We all have. This does not create guilt. It creates softness. It reminds you, this is human. So instead of making misunderstanding into a personal tragedy, you can make it into a practice of patience, a practice of clear speech, a practice of non-reactivity. Now let us explore speech, because much misunderstanding comes through words. The Buddha taught right speech. Speak what is true. Speak what is beneficial. Speak at the right time. Speak with kindness. These four are a great refuge. Sometimes you are misunderstood because your words were not clear. Then practice clarity. Sometimes you are misunderstood because people are projecting. Then practice not taking it personally. Sometimes you are misunderstood because you spoke at the wrong time. Then practice patience. Sometimes you are misunderstood because your tone carried hidden anger. Then practice kindness. Right speech is not about being nice all the time. It is about being clean, truthful, and compassionate. Now, this also means learning when not to speak. There is a kind of silence that is wisdom, not silence from fear. Silence from knowing that arguing will only create more fire. If a person is not listening, your words will become fuel. So sometimes, the most compassionate action is to stop feeding the flame. Now, let us talk about the desire to please everyone. This desire is not always vanity. Often, it is trauma. Often, it is fear of rejection. Often, it is the child inside saying, "If everyone likes me, I will be safe." The Buddha would not shame this child. He would offer compassion, and he would also offer wisdom. No matter how perfect you become, some minds will still dislike you, because your existence touches their insecurity, because your honesty touches their denial, because your calm touches their chaos, because your boundary touches their entitlement. So if you build your life around being liked, you will live as a prisoner. The prison door opens when you accept a simple truth. You cannot be loved by all, and you do not need to be. What you need is to live with a clean heart. Now, what is a clean heart? A clean heart is a heart that is not trying to harm. A clean heart is a heart that knows its intention. A clean heart is a heart that can apologize. A clean heart is a heart that can learn. A clean heart is a heart that does not need to win. This kind of heart is rare, and it is powerful. Now I want to address another point from your text. You said, "The biggest voice shaping your life should not be theirs, but yours." This is wise, if we understand it correctly. It does not mean you become stubborn and ignore feedback. It means you become anchored in values. Your values become your compass. Honesty, kindness, non-harming, courage, humility. Then feedback becomes information, not a definition. You can take what is useful and leave what is noise. This is mature. Now let us talk about feedback. Some misunderstanding comes with useful feedback. Someone says, "When you speak like that, I feel hurt." Even if they misunderstand your intention, the impact may be real. The Buddha taught that we should be careful with harm, so we can listen, not to defend, but to understand. We can say, "Thank you. I did not mean harm. I will try to speak more carefully." This is not weakness. This is strength. Because it takes strength to care about impact without losing your center. But other times, feedback is not feedback. It is manipulation. It is accusation with no interest in truth. In those cases, listening does not help. Boundaries help. So again, we return to discernment. Now, let us look at a reminder that many people find helpful. People act as they act. That is their responsibility. You respond as you respond. That is your responsibility. The spirit is clear. You cannot control their actions, but you can control yours. And your actions shape your mind. So when someone speaks badly about you, their action shapes their mind. When you respond with hatred, your response shapes your mind. So protect your mind. Respond in a way that you can live with. This is the heart of karma. Karma is not fate. It is the training of the heart through intention and action. Now, if you are listening and these teachings are helping you, you might gently support this channel. A simple like or subscribe can be a quiet offering, so more people who feel misunderstood can find this calm guidance. Only if it feels right to you. Now let us move into a deeper layer. Why does misunderstanding hurt so much? Because the mind clings to a self-image, a story about who I am. And when someone misunderstands, they threaten that story. So the Buddha taught not self. Not self does not mean you are nothing. It means the self-image is not a solid, permanent thing. It is a process, a collection of body, feelings, perceptions, habits, and consciousness, changing. If you see that the self is a process, then misunderstanding is less like an attack on your existence. It becomes a moment of sound and thought. Unpleasant, yes, but not the end of you. This is freedom. Now, you may ask, if there is no fixed self, how do I live? You live more lightly. You take responsibility without shame. You receive praise without addiction. You receive blame without collapse. You become flexible. You become teachable. This is how the Buddha trained the mind. Now, let us bring in a gentle practice. When a strong reaction arises, repeat inwardly, "This is not the whole truth." Because in the moment of misunderstanding, the mind tells a dramatic story. They hate me. Everyone is against me. I am ruined. This will never end. Impermanence teaches that emotions and situations change. So you can say, "This is painful, and it will change." This sentence is not denial, it is wisdom. Now we should also talk about the way we judge others. As children, we like simple stories. Hero and villain, good and evil. But adult wisdom sees complexity. A person can be kind to one person and cruel to another. A person can be generous today and selfish tomorrow. A person can be loving and still wounded. So the Buddha encouraged us to look at actions, not to carve permanent identities. He encouraged us to look at causes and conditions. This makes the heart less rigid. And when the heart is less rigid, it becomes less offended by misunderstanding. Because you understand, they are speaking from their mind state right now. Now, let us add another story, simple and vivid. A man was walking by a river and saw a dog barking at its own reflection in the water. The dog was furious. It thought there was another dog challenging it. It barked louder. The reflection barked back. The dog became more angry. Then it jumped into the water to attack, and the reflection disappeared. The dog was confused. The lesson is this: many fights are against reflections. We fight what people project. We fight what we imagine they mean. We fight the story in our head. Wisdom helps you see what is real. And when you see what is real, you stop barking at reflections. Now, in human life, it is not always that simple. Sometimes people truly are attacking. Sometimes they truly are lying. So again, discernment matters. But even when there is real harm, the story in our mind often adds extra suffering. So we practice seeing clearly. Now, let us talk about boundaries again. A boundary is not a wall of hatred. A boundary is a line of clarity. It says, "This is what I can accept. This is what I cannot accept." If you are misunderstood, a boundary may be necessary. If someone spreads false rumors, you may need to correct the facts. If someone constantly twists your words, you may need to limit contact. If someone is unsafe, you may need to leave. This is not unspiritual. This is wise. The Buddha taught non-harming. Non-harming includes not harming yourself. Now, there is a way to set boundaries that keeps the heart clean. You speak calmly. You speak truthfully. You do not insult. You do not exaggerate. You do not seek revenge. You simply state what is real and what you will do. This kind of boundary creates less karma of conflict. It is like placing a stone in the river to guide the flow, not to poison the water. Now, let us speak about the temptation to gossip. When we are misunderstood, we often want to defend ourselves by telling others our version. Sometimes that is necessary, especially if false information is harming. But often it becomes gossip, and gossip spreads more misunderstanding. The Buddha warned that speech can become a fire. So before you speak about someone, ask, is it true? Is it beneficial? Is it timely? Is it kind? If it is only to release your anger, breathe first. If it is to protect someone from harm, speak carefully and factually. This is wise speech. Now let us talk about how to live when the world is not fair in its judgments. You may see people praised for things they did not do. You may see people blamed unfairly. You may see shallow behavior rewarded. This can create bitterness. The Buddha taught that the world is full of changing conditions. It is not always fair in the way a child hopes it will be. So where can we put our faith? Not in the crowd, not in applause, not in consistent approval. We put our faith in the path. We put our faith in our own practice. We put our faith in the law of cause and effect in our own mind. If you live with integrity, your mind becomes peaceful. If you live with deceit, your mind becomes restless. This is not always visible on the outside, but it is real. So do not envy the surface. Choose inner peace. Now, a short story illustrates this. Two people planted seeds. One planted a seed of patience every day. The other planted a seed of resentment every day. In the beginning, both looked the same. But over time, their faces changed. Their voices changed. Their relationships changed. Their lives changed. The seed became the forest. Your response to misunderstanding is a seed. If you respond with hatred, hatred grows. If you respond with clarity and kindness, peace grows. So choose your seeds carefully. Now, some people may say, if I do not defend myself, I will be walked on. That can be true in some situations. So again, we need balance. The Buddha did not teach passivity. He taught wise action. There is a difference between defending with anger and defending with clarity. Defending with anger may bring short-term satisfaction, but it often creates long-term conflict. Defending with clarity protects you without burning you. So learn to defend cleanly. Here is a simple structure you can use in a difficult conversation. First, breathe and slow your body. Second, state the fact. Third, state your intention. Fourth, state your boundary or request. For example, I heard that this was said. My intention is to keep things truthful and respectful. If there is concern, I am willing to talk directly. If rumors continue, I will step back. This is calm speech. This is Dharma in action. Now, we also must remember that sometimes the best response is to do nothing. When someone is playing a game of provocation, your reaction is their reward. So do not feed it. Silence can be wise. Walking away can be wise. Protecting your energy can be wise. Now let us talk about the inner work that makes all of this possible. Loving kindness, metta. The Buddha taught metta as a way to soften the heart. Because when the heart is soft, it is less easily wounded by misunderstanding. This does not mean you become naive. It means you become less defensive. So begin with yourself. May I be safe. May I be well. May I be peaceful. May I be free. Then extend to others, even difficult people, without pretending they are harmless. May you be free from the ignorance that causes harm. May you be free from suffering. This practice cleans the heart, and a clean heart is strong. Now, I want to speak directly to those who feel exhausted by being misunderstood. You might feel like you are always explaining, always proving, always performing. If this is you, the Buddha would invite you to rest, not to quit life, but to stop carrying the impossible job of controlling every mind. you can put that down. And when you put it down, you may feel a strange emptiness at first, because you have been filling your life with the work of pleasing. But that emptiness is not a void, it is space. And in space, you can finally hear your own heart. Now, here is a gentle reflection. Ask yourself, who am I when no one is watching? Not to judge yourself, to know yourself. What do you value? What do you want to cultivate? What kind of person do you want to become? If you answer these honestly, you do not need a crowd to tell you who you are. You become your own witness, and that is stability. Now let us also speak about humility, because humility protects you from another trap. Sometimes we say, they misunderstand me. But the truth is, sometimes we truly were unskillful. Sometimes we truly were careless. Sometimes we truly did harm without intending. The Buddha taught that wisdom includes the ability to admit mistakes. This is not shame. This is growth. So when you are misunderstood, ask 2 questions. Is there something here I can learn? And if there is nothing to learn, can I let it go? This keeps you open and free. Now let us speak about using the world as a mirror. When you see harshness in the world, ask, where am I harsh? When you see deception in the world, ask, where am I not fully honest? When you see arrogance in the world, ask, where do I cling to pride? This is not self-hatred, it is self-awareness. And self-awareness is the path to freedom. Now, the Buddha did not teach that you should become silent about everything. There are times when speaking is necessary, when harm is happening, when injustice is happening, when someone is being abused. Silence in those cases may not be wisdom. So the practice is not never speak. The practice is speak without hatred, speak truthfully, speak beneficially, speak at the right time, speak kindly. Even firm truth can be kind when it is clean. Now friends, if you are finding value in this talk, you might stay close to Buddha Peaceful Mind for more gentle teachings. Subscribing is like choosing a calm place to sit each week, only if it feels supportive to you. Now let us bring the whole teaching into one simple image. Trying to be understood by everyone is like trying to hold the wind. You can chase it all day and your hands will be empty. But you can build a home. You can build a shelter inside your own heart. And then, whether the wind praises you or blames you, you remain stable. That shelter is made of practice, mindfulness, ethics, compassion, wisdom. Now, I will offer a practical daily practice for anyone who struggles with misunderstanding. In the morning, set one intention. Today, I will not add suffering. Or, today, I will speak with clarity. Or, today, I will not chase approval. Choose one. Then, during the day, when you feel the urge to defend yourself, pause. Ask, is this defense coming from fear or from wisdom? If it is fear, breathe and soften. If it is wisdom, speak simply and truthfully. Then release. Do not keep rehearsing after you speak. After you do what is skillful, let it go. In the evening, reflect gently. Where did I cling to praise? Where did I fear blame? Where did I respond with kindness? Where did I respond with harm? Do not judge, just learn. Learning is freedom. Before we close, let us stay with this teaching longer, because misunderstanding is not a small issue. It is one of the main reasons people suffer silently. It breaks friendships, It ends relationships. It destroys confidence. It creates anxiety. It can even make a good heart become hard. So we need deeper training, not just comfort. The Buddha taught that a mind without training is easily shaken, like a small pond. A small pond is disturbed by a single stone, a single comment, a single rumor. A single look can create waves for days. But a trained mind becomes like a great river. A river is not ruined by a stone. The stone drops, ripples appear, and the river continues. How do we become a river? Not by pretending we do not feel pain, not by forcing ourselves to be calm, but by expanding awareness and by practicing again and again. This is why the Buddha emphasized meditation. Meditation is not escape. Meditation is learning to be with experience without being owned by it. When you sit and watch the breath, you see the mind's habit of grabbing. A sound appears, and the mind says, I like it, I hate it, I want it to stop. A thought appears, and the mind says, this is true, this is me, this is my life. But if you keep watching, you learn something simple and revolutionary. Thoughts come and go. Feelings come and go. Even the image you have of yourself comes and goes. So why build your house on a moving cloud? Build your house on awareness instead. Awareness is the space that can hold the cloud without being destroyed by it. Now, let us look at the most common types of misunderstanding, because naming them helps. There is misunderstanding of intention. You meant care, but they heard control. You meant honesty, but they heard attack. You meant boundaries, but they heard rejection. There is misunderstanding of personality. You are quiet. They assume you are arrogant. You are direct. They assume you are cruel. You are gentle. They assume you are weak. There is misunderstanding of context. They saw one moment, but they did not see the whole story. They saw your exhaustion, but they did not see your effort. They saw your silence, but they did not see your grief. And there is misunderstanding driven by projection. They do not actually see you. They see their own fear in your face. They see their own insecurity in your success. They see their own shame in your confidence. When you recognize these patterns, you stop taking everything as a final verdict about who you are. Now, there is a teaching in the Buddha's path that helps with projection. The teaching is simple. Do not take what is impermanent as a reliable refuge. Opinions are impermanent. Trends are impermanent. Mood is impermanent. Crowd approval is impermanent. So if your peace depends on these, your peace will be unstable. Instead, take refuge in what is wholesome. Take refuge in your precepts. Take refuge in your intention. Take refuge in mindfulness. Take refuge in compassion. These are not permanent as objects, but they are reliable as a direction. Now, a small story. A man was building a house near the ocean. He chose the beach because the view was beautiful. An elder asked him, "Why do you build so close to the waves?" The man said, "The waves look peaceful." The elder said, "The waves change. Sometimes they are gentle, sometimes they are violent. If you build too close, you will live in fear." So the man moved the house back and built on higher ground. The ocean still existed, the waves still moved, but his home was safe. This is the lesson. Do not build your inner home too close to the waves of public opinion. Move to higher ground. Higher ground is integrity. Higher ground is practice. Higher ground is the calm that comes from understanding. Now, people often ask, how do I know if I'm responding with wisdom or responding with ego? Here is one sign. Ego wants to win. Wisdom wants to be free. Ego wants to punish. Wisdom wants to be clean. Ego wants to control the other person's mind. Wisdom focuses on the next skillful step. So when you feel misunderstood, ask, what do I want right now? If the answer is, I want them to feel ashamed, that is ego. If the answer is, I want to clarify and reduce harm, that is closer to wisdom. If the answer is, I want to be praised, that is ego. If the answer is, I want to speak truth and move on, that is wisdom. Now, let us add another story, one that is very practical in modern life. A young creator posted a message online, sincere and helpful. Many people thanked him, but one person attacked him harshly, saying he was fake and selfish. The creator's mind became obsessed. He refreshed the page again and again. He wrote long replies, deleted them, wrote again. He lost sleep. He lost joy. Then a friend asked him, how many people were helped by your message? He said, thousands. The friend asked, and how many are living in your mind right now? He said, one. This is how misunderstanding becomes suffering. One voice becomes a tyrant. Not because it is powerful, but because we give it power. So the practice is to return to proportion, return to reality, return to the whole picture. Not to deny criticism, but to stop worshiping it. Now, there is also a place for correction. If your message truly caused harm, adjust it. If you spoke carelessly, apologize. But do not let one attacking mind steal your entire life. Now, let us bring in the Buddha's approach to criticism in a simple way. The Buddha did not ask people to fear criticism. He asked them to investigate. Is it true? If it is true, you can learn. If it is not true, you can let it go. This sounds simple, but it is a powerful filter, because it keeps you from two extremes. One extreme is defensiveness, where you reject all feedback. The other extreme is self-hatred, where you believe all blame. Instead, you practice investigation. This is mindfulness with wisdom. Now, let us return to the idea that good and bad are not fixed labels for people. This does not mean morality is subjective. It means humans are complex and changeable. The Buddha taught that what matters is the direction of training. A person can do harm today and learn to stop tomorrow. A person can be kind today and become careless tomorrow. So do not build your life on labels. Build your life on practice. Now, the teaching becomes even more beautiful when you apply it to yourself. When you make a mistake, you may label yourself. I am terrible. I am broken. I am worthless. But the Buddha would say, do not turn an action into an identity. An unskillful action happened. Learn, repair, practice, and begin again. This is compassion and responsibility together. Now we should talk about shame, because misunderstanding often creates shame. Shame says, I am bad. I am not lovable. I should hide. The Buddha offered a different medicine. He offered mindful awareness of shame as a state, not as a self. Shame has sensations, heat, tightness, a sinking feeling. Shame has thoughts. They will reject me. I am exposed. I am not enough. If you watch these with mindfulness, shame becomes less solid. And then you can choose a wise response, a clarification, a boundary, a rest, a conversation with a trusted friend. Shame loses its power when it is seen. Now, a short practice. If you are listening and you want to try just for a moment, notice your breathing. Breathing in. I know I am breathing in. Breathing out. I know I am breathing out. Now, bring to mind a recent misunderstanding. Do not choose the most traumatic one. Choose a manageable one. Notice what arises in the body. Name it softly. Tightness, heat, sadness. Now, say inwardly, this is a feeling, not a verdict. Then return to the breath. One breath. This is how you train. Not by fixing everything at once, by returning again and again. Now, let us talk about one more trap. Sometimes we become proud of being misunderstood. We say, they do not understand me because I am special. This is another ego. It is just ego wearing spiritual clothes. The Buddha taught humility. Humility says, I may be misunderstood, and I may also be unclear. I may be judged unfairly, and I may also have something to learn. Humility keeps the heart soft. Soft does not mean weak. Soft means teachable. Now, let us speak about compassion toward those who misunderstand you. This is not easy, and it should not be forced, but it is freeing. When someone misunderstands you, they are often suffering too. They are afraid. They are insecure. They are carrying old pain. They are trying to protect themselves by attacking. Again, this does not excuse harm, but it helps you respond without hatred. You might say, I hear your concern. I do not agree with your story, but I am willing to speak calmly. Or you might say, I am not available for this conversation if it stays disrespectful. Either way, you keep your heart clean. Now, there is another story, often shared in different traditions, about an empty boat. A man is rowing across a river. Another boat crashes into him. He becomes furious and shouts at the other person. Then he sees the other boat is empty, drifting. Instantly, the anger drops. Nothing changed in the impact. Only the mind's story changed. This story teaches a deep lesson. Often, our anger is not about the event. It is about the story of intention. They meant to hurt me. They disrespected me on purpose. Sometimes that is true, but sometimes it is not. So before you burn your heart, investigate. What do I actually know? What am I assuming? What might be another explanation? This is wisdom. Now, let us speak about gossip again, because gossip is a factory of misunderstanding. Gossip feels like power. It feels like belonging. It feels like protection. But it spreads distortion, and it trains the mind in judgment. The Buddha praised restraint of speech for a reason, because a person who reduces gossip experiences a surprising peace. The mind is less busy. The heart is less dirty. Relationships become simpler. So if you want to reduce misunderstanding in your life, begin here. Do not pass stories you cannot verify. Do not decorate stories with emotion. Speak directly when you can. And if you must speak about a situation, speak with care and minimal harm. Now, there is also a place for speaking up. If harm is happening, silence may not be wise. So the path is not never speak. The path is speak with a clean heart. This is the difference between courage and aggression. Courage is firm and kind. Aggression is harsh and hungry. If you can feel that hunger to win, pause, return to breath, then speak. Now, let us talk about the phrase, be the version of yourself that feels most alive. This is a beautiful phrase if it is guided by values. Being alive does not mean doing whatever you want. Being alive means living in alignment with truth, kindness, and clarity. When you live in alignment, you feel whole. When you perform for approval, you feel divided. So the Buddha's path is a path of wholeness. It brings the mind together. It removes inner war. Now, how do we know we are becoming more whole? Here are simple signs. Less fear of being disliked. Less obsession with proving yourself. Less bitterness. More patience. More honesty. More kindness. More ability to apologize. More ability to let go. These are the fruits. Now we can return to a very practical question. What if someone is truly spreading lies about you? Wisdom has steps. First, check your intention. Are you trying to punish or trying to protect? Second, act with clarity. Correct facts calmly. Use the appropriate channel. Third, set boundaries. Limit access if needed. Fourth, release what you cannot control. Because even after you correct facts, some minds will still believe what they want. So do your part, then let go. Holding on will only burn you. Now, what if the misunderstanding is inside your family? This can be the hardest, because you want love, not only justice. In those cases, patience and repetition may be needed. Speak from the heart. Use simple words. Do not overload with logic. Sometimes a family member cannot hear truth because they are protecting their own identity. So keep your dignity, keep your kindness, and choose what level of closeness is healthy. Sometimes love means closeness, sometimes love means distance. Both can be wise. Now, what if you feel misunderstood by the whole world and you are tempted to isolate completely? Be careful. Solitude can be healing, but isolation fueled by bitterness becomes another prison. So if you need rest, rest, but keep your heart open. Find one trustworthy friend, find one safe community, even if it is small. Because the path is easier with wise companionship. The Buddha praised spiritual friendship, not because you need people to validate you, but because wise people remind you of your best direction. Now, friends, we have covered many teachings, and if you have been listening this far, you are already practicing patience and mindfulness. If this talk is helping you, you may share it with someone who needs this medicine. A share can be a quiet act of compassion, helping another heart feel less alone. Now, let us gently return to the core. Misunderstanding is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Suffering arises when you cling to approval, cling to identity, cling to control. Freedom arises when you cultivate integrity, mindfulness, discernment, and compassion. So, do not waste your life trying to sculpt yourself into a shape that satisfies every mind. Live in a way you can respect in silence. Live in a way your conscience can rest. Live in a way that reduces harm. Then, even if the world misunderstands you, your heart remains your home. Now we can close. Now, I want to end with something tender. You will be misunderstood sometimes, even by people you love. This is painful, but it is human. When it happens, do not abandon your heart. Do not abandon your values. Do not abandon your compassion. Be clear, be kind, be firm when needed. And remember, you do not need to be the version of you that pleases everyone. You only need to be the version of you that is honest, awake, and growing. So if the world cannot agree about who you are, let the world be the world. You can return to your own mind, your own breath, your own practice. This is where peace is made. May you be free from the craving to be approved by all. May you be free from the fear of misunderstanding. May you speak truth with kindness. May you set boundaries without hatred. May you live with integrity. May your heart remain wide in a narrow world. May all beings be safe. May all beings be well. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free.